Hello, everyone. So good to see you. This is the Dharma message for May 17th, 2020. Will you please put your hands together and join me in Gasho? These words were spoken by Shinran Shonin, the founder of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, as written in the Tanisho section number 2. I am entirely ignorant as to whether the Nembutsu is really the cause of birth in the Pure Land, or whether it is the karma which will cause me to fall into hell. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namon Dobbs, Namon Dobbs, Namon Dobbs, Namon Dobbs. So hi everyone, I'm happy you were able to join me today. I brought along a special guest with me. Any guesses who this significant individual is? Well, that's right. It's Shinran Shonin, the founder of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism. And since he is here with us today, I thought I would start by doing something special. You may be wondering, why is today special? Well, I'm going to give you a hint. So would you please join me in singing Happy Birthday to Shinran Shonin? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Shinran. Happy birthday to you. And since Shinran can't really blow out a candle, I'm going to help him out a little bit. I wonder what he wished for. So today, we're observing Shinran Shonin's birthday, even though his actual birthday is May 21st. So we're just a few days early. And bear with me for just a second. I'm going to take a small bite out of this because it looks so yummy. Cream filling. That's good. I'll finish that later. How many of you have had a birthday? I'm hoping all of you are raising your hands. I myself, I've had quite a few over the years, but I'm not going to share with you just how many they've been. I'll let you guess what that is. Most of us, when we have birthdays, though, we actually have parties and we receive gifts. So I thought I would share with you a few old birthday gifts that I've received over the years. So the first one is actually a book that I got a long time ago when I was really young. It's a Star Wars pop-up book, and this book is over 40 years old. And there's a lot of really cool things in it, but I thought I'd show you my favorite page. So this is the Sandcrawler and the Jawas that captured R2-D2 in the very first Star Wars movie released in 1977, A New Hope. R2 was on a secret mission, but he got captured by Jawas when he arrived on the planet Tatooine. And he was taken to this large sandcrawler. And then when he got there, he was whooshed up into a vacuum to suck him into the sandcrawler. So as a kid, I really liked this book. As I got older, I started to get other books too. For example, this one I received from one of my sons a while ago. And this is Useless Japanese Inventions. It's a really interesting book. Let's see. Well, here's one where you can create a headband to carry your umbrella so you don't have to carry it in your hands. And this book is full of all kinds of wonderful, joyous, interesting inventions only found in Japan. Not sure if you can actually buy these things, but it's a fun book to look at. And then I got this one some years ago. It's a Homer Chia Pet. And even though I got it many years ago, I didn't try it out till maybe just about 2 weeks ago or so. So are you interested in seeing how this turned out? Well, let me share a picture with you. What'd you think? It's pretty weird, right? Well, sometimes the best presents that we get are actually the ones that are passed down to us. So I'd like to share with you another gift that I received a few years ago. This one was actually passed down to me by my father, and before him, his father had given it to him as a gift. So it's an old watch. It still kind of keeps time a little bit, but it's a reminder to me that my grandfather had an influence in my life. And the gift of his life passed on to my father and then to me has permitted me to live. And one day I will pass this watch on to one of my sons too, so that he can keep it and then hopefully continue the resharing of this gift through subsequent generations. So sometimes the ones that are passed on to us are the most beautiful and special gifts. So in the passage that I shared with all of you, Shinran was sharing his appreciation for the Nembutsu with one of his followers named Yuyen. And to give you just a bit more context, I would like to include it in a bit more of the passage that I'm going to share with you now. So sit back and just listen for about a minute or so. Again, these are the words of Shinran Shonin. As for me, Shinran, there is nothing left but to receive and believe the teaching of the Venerable Master, who is Honen Shonin, that we are saved by Amida merely through the utterance of the Nembutsu. I am entirely ignorant as to whether the Nembutsu is really the cause of birth in the Pure Land, or whether it is the karma which will cause me to fall into hell. I will have no regrets, even though I could have been deceived by Honen Shonin, and thus, by uttering the Nembutsu, I should fall into hell. The reason is that, if I could become a Buddha by performing some other practice and fall into hell by uttering the Nembutsu, then I might feel regret at having been deceived. But since I am incapable of any practice whatsoever, hell would definitely be my dwelling anyway. So what I think Shinran is trying to say to Yuyen, that he then shares with us, is that even though as a monk of Mount Hiei for 20 plus years, Shinran tried many of the traditional, strict, disciplined practices of a Buddhist monk, attempting to find the path to enlightenment in this life. But he was getting nowhere. I can only imagine how frustrating and disheartening that must have been for Shinran. He was considered one of the greatest scholars of Mount Hiei, one of the most disciplined monks, and yet he himself looked within inside his heart and realized, this was taking me nowhere. And then he encountered his teacher, Honen. And Honen introduced him to the Nembutsu teachings, which allowed Shinran to recognize that there was already a path made for him to attain enlightenment, to become a Buddha. And he need not worry. And he decided that this was the only path that he could follow. This was the only thing he was capable of doing, even if it were to lead him into hell. That is a profound statement, to recognize that I can't do anything else. As I am, this is all I can do. It's a very powerful statement to utter. And even though we recognize Shinran as the founder of Jodo Shinshu, he did not create the Nembutsu teachings. It's important to know that they were first introduced to the world a long time ago as a way to recognize that there was a path to Buddhahood for people who are living in difficult and uncertain situations. And because of this, they were incapable of living a disciplined life as a monk or a nun. The Nembutsu teaching is essentially this: realize in your heart that Amida Buddha already created the conditions for your Buddhahood when you were born in the Pure Land. And so how do you get there and become a Buddha? Well, you say the Buddha's name, Namo Amida Butsu, from your heart as you live in this life, and you will be born there as you pass away. Namo Amida Butsu is also known as the Nembutsu, and the teachings of the Nembutsu were first shared by Shakyamuni Buddha, who passed them on to his disciple Ananda some 2,600 years ago. And from Ananda, they were passed through the centuries, and many famous Buddhist scholars wrote about their appreciation for the Nembutsu. And among the many, there were 7 that Shinran recognized as being important. And we refer to them as the 7 Pure Land Masters. Do you remember who they are? Okay, well, I'll spare you. I'll share them with you. So there was Nagarjuna and Vasubandhu from India. And then there was Tanluan, Taocho, and Shandao from China. And finally, there was Genshin and Honen from Japan. And the last of the 7, Honen, was Shinran's direct teacher. And this is the master that he referred to in the passage that I shared. So, Shinran never considered himself to be a master. He saw himself as just one who was a recipient of the gift of Amida's vow that had been passed down through the ages. And Shinran shared his appreciation of receiving this gift with his friend Yuyan, who then wrote it down in a collection of other writings that were inspired by Shinran. And these began to become known as the Tanisho. So he committed Shinran's thoughts on paper so that they could be shared with the many other Nembutsu followers who were hungry to encounter the teachings, but who were unable to hear them directly from Shinran because he had passed away. And it's also important to remember that, like now, during both Shakyamuni Buddha and Shinran's lifetimes, the vast majority of people were living in great uncertainty about their futures. There was warfare and poverty, and people wondering, how will I get my next meal? Food was scarce, and there was sickness, and sometimes people didn't know whether the day they woke up in the morning would be the very last time they woke up. A lot of uncertainty. And we are truly fortunate to be able to receive this same gift that has been passed down and continue to encounter the Nembutsu teachings in our own lifetime, because we are living in uncertain times right now ourselves. So, can you remember how I asked at the beginning of this Dharma message that I was wondering what Shinran had wished for? Well, I believe with my whole heart that his wish would be for the Nembutsu teachings to continue to spread. And it is our responsibility to share them with others, especially during these uncertain times. So I'd like to close by sharing one last birthday gift I received a long time ago when I was a small child. You may recognize this figure. And this figure represents Yoda, who is a fictional but very wise master who once said to someone else who was searching, "Pass on what you have learned." And it is my sincere wish during this Gotan-E that you will do the same. So thank you so much for listening. And will you please place your hands together in Gasho one more time and say the Nembutsu, the name of Amida Buddha, with me. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Thank you, everyone, and I look forward to being able to see you again. Please take care, stay safe, and be healthy. Bye-bye.